Hello everyone, Chris here. I decided to spend 10 hours playing Sojourn, and this hour 1 Chris version of me was absolutely not ready for the torture, pain and suffering that I would have to go through in order to finish up this challenge. Jesus Christ. I knew that Sojourn was a pretty difficult character, and if I would look at the previous win rate before the patch, it was about 46%, about 1.3% of players would use this character. And looking back from the top of my experience, I understand why. Not only this is a very squishy yet very difficult character to play, every minor mistake you are getting absolutely punished for just existing. I will speak about it in later hours, but oh boy, my first hour, I got myself a mercy pocket. And we end up landing some mid-masters lobbies. To say that I was ready for that kind of pressure, I was absolutely not. I decided to overclock my GPU, so my game was freezing from time to time, but this is not an excuse for my horrible left clicks and my horrible right clicks. I have no idea how to position myself on a character. I have no idea how to properly track an opponent, because the velocity of the bullets are quite different from every single hit scan that I would play before. And this was a very nice experience, a very nice but very painful. I feel like I was never good at Tracer before I hit 30-hour mark, and this, mind you, a very dedicated hard practice where I would spend time deliberately practicing all the aspects of the character. It felt like with Sojourn, it's gonna be completely the same. By the way, look at that nice movement from the Reaper. Every single hour or two of every single challenge is time for me to really feel my hands, really feel warmed up. I spent about 20 minutes before going for Vaxta custom code, and then I played a few games, and this was the time for me to actually cook. I'm still horrendous with all my ability. My microplay on Sojourn is horrendous. I am just pressing buttons like a little baboon that has no idea how and where to aim and what to do. This was a very nice idea with a slide on top, just to get the Ana. Unfortunately, you have to have brain, and you have to have hands, and you have to have skill in order to dominate on Sojourn. Mind you that I never had any of those. Here we are catching the Mercy that was trying to res off guard. Here is me bullying the Doomfist player. God, I love Doomfist players, especially when they are against me. The character is so horrible in the current meta. Messing up my slide. Nice. It was so satisfying to one-tap players with a railgun, especially when you have a mercy pocket and the damage boost, but it still feels like the Zenyatta could be 10 times more useful to the team overall, simply because as a mercy player you cannot always be on your Sojourn. You just have to go back and forth, whether you are getting punished for the lack of movement, if you are just pocketing specifically Sojourn, or your tank is constantly critical because he is an idiot and decides to spend all his time out in the open. Here I messed up my overclock quite tremendously. Never had the idea that the Bob is gonna be there. Going for defense, and what a beautiful... Oh, I'm sorry, this is attack. What a beautiful sleep from our Ana, and we are continuing our domination. We captured the point. This dude wanted to touch, and it feels like they would have the chance to do so if their Doomfist would not be an AFK dummy. But yeah, here we're getting a beautiful kill onto the Mercy, getting a kill onto... This dude is just still standing AFK. You're thinking that you are making insane plays just to watch the replay and see that the dude was just standing AFK. You should have seen what he would do. Beautiful snipe onto the Ana. Mwah. And here I'm getting a kill onto the Soldier, and my mercy pocket's like, yo, we gotta like go back a bit, we gotta re-engage. I'm like, nah, we're going in. It's time to cook. So here I'm going for the hog. And he tilts and decides to give up. Nice. Hour 3 is when the things started to go south. As you might know, duo experience is quite harder than the solo ones, simply because there are quite a lot more of the smurfs. People are tryharding a lot more, so it was definitely a challenge for me and my mental health. Was I struggling? Yes. The character is still insanely hard to master. I wouldn't say it's as hard as Tracer. Look at that shot from Widow, by the way. These are the players I'm playing against on Sojourn, on a character that I have never played before. I feel like an absolute failure, but we are continue grinding, we are continue pushing nonetheless. Here I'm finding the charge on the Orisa just to spend it on the support. I quickly realized that spamming the tank is pretty much useless, and I'm trying my absolute hardest here, yet something is utterly wrong. We are 95 to 37 and continuing our domination, 3 minutes left on the clock, and it feels like the game is in the bag. There is nothing our opponents can do to save the day, and I'm landing some insane shots. Like, if you would look at that, this is montage worthy. We're going for a kill onto the Hanzo, and we lost. Shambali Monastery, and I would want to give you an aerial view of how you can lose the point by giving up the high ground. This is an insanely important point of interest that you can hold all the time and pretty much deny it for your opponents. Unfortunately, my Reinhardt decided to go for a walk onto a flanking route. Yet, it's not a problem, we were able to touch with 0.58, and if you'd look at the beauty of the team fights that we are having right now, feels like a chess match, not a simple one, when you are not knowing what to do, when you are clueless. This is a try-hard game. I love duo experience, strictly because of that. Games are still about mid-masters, and we are continuing our domination, yet I feel like my level of competence is not on the same level of the lobbies, and thus I am making quite a lot of mistakes here. Go for the Zenyatta behind you. No, I wouldn't, and I just die here. Imagine I would have gotten more kills on this spawn, we would be able to get the W here. Unfortunately, I was not ready for that. And if you'd look at the last fight of this game, I have my overclock ready, D.Va dives me, I'm going in, not getting a kill onto the Mercy, not getting a kill onto the Sojourn, and not getting a kill onto the Zen. Tragic. Looking at the character concept, I feel like I am not countering anything. Sure, I can farm a lot more of the ultimate charge when there is a Roadhog, when there is a Reinhardt, when there is Sigma. And I would farm quite less of that when I would play against Junker Queen, simply because the model is way slimmer and it's harder to farm. Yet, I felt that there are just better, superior DPS when it comes to the experience overall. I felt that I'm getting bullied by Genjis. I felt that I'm getting bullied by pretty much every single DPS that you would see, and I cannot do anything versus Mercy, who was in every single game it feels like that I have played. It feels like every single time I would miss my railgun, I would lose the fight, and as a result would lose the game. And if I would not go and one-tap the support, the situation would get a lot harder for us. I guess this is the power and the limitation of every single DPS, and Sojourn is not an exception to that rule. I feel like there are multiple ways to the Mountain Fuji, just like Miyamoto Musashi, great samurai, said. And I absolutely don't like how you are approaching the mountain old Sojourn. Or perhaps I have no idea how Sojourn approaches the climbing the mountain situation very like front-ish style. Not kind of my type. Power 5, I am a lot better than I was before, but a lot better is not enough. It feels like the character is so difficult that it takes a lot more time to get accustomed. It takes a lot more time to really cook. And Hour 6 was definitely the moment where I tried and did my absolute hardest. Here was a beautiful sequence of moves from my opponents. They forced us out of this choke using Bob, and then the dude just went in ham with the visor from above. Beautiful sequence of plays. Here I am peeling the diva on the high ground, and I love playing with Sigma, simply because you can do stuff like this. He uses his grab, and you're going for very secured right click. I'm getting quite successful with my right clicks. I'm farming quite a lot of the damage here. I'm getting the value that I always wanted to get, yet I still feel like there are better DPS for pretty much every single occasion. Sojourn still a horrible choice when it comes to pretty much 99% of the players. If you want to play the character, you have to be supreme in terms of your aim. If you want to play the character, you have to be absolutely cracked when it comes to your ability to left click and ability to right click. Did I have that? I thought I did, but the game decided to give me a nice reality check that I always wanted right here. I missed my railgun, my Mercy dies because of it, and we are losing the point as a result. I missed my right click again, and the Mercy is alive, and she is now healing the diva that I can't kill. Imagine you would play a character that can be a lot more reliable than that. Ashe, Soldier, something that can secure a kill instead of going for a 50-50 or whatever the thing is. Here was my best play so far. Jesus Christ, that was so clean. I have no idea how am I alive in this situation. I escaped the tactical visor, I escaped Diva, and then I went under the Cassidy, which was absolutely beautiful. And I sleep dart to deny the Matrix right there, and we are going for quite a lot more good right clicks. Yet, guess what happened with the game? We still lost it. It is really interesting. I feel like you just have to give yourself time to learn. I feel like you just have to give yourself permission to fail if you want to succeed playing very hard characters. And one of the most important things that you can do is to play the character no matter what. There are no counters. There are no options for you. You just play a single character for as long as you humanly possibly can. Whether it's gonna be 100 hours, whether it's gonna be 500 hours, whether it's gonna be 1,000 hours. And this is the only way to really master it. So every single time you would play Sojourn and you would see Echo against you, you're like, oh, I gotta swap hit scan. Wrong. There are situations where you want to do that, but overall, this is a very toxic mentality and it breaks your character, it breaks your joy of the game. I have a lot of respect for OTP players who are playing Doomfists, who are playing Wrecking Balls, who are playing Torbjörns no matter what. I want to do the same. Hour 8 is where I could reliably say that I am pretty good at Sojourn in comparison with me when I just started playing her. The fact that I am lending my ease at the proper times, I am not wasting it, or in comparison, I am not using it at all, is a really good sign of the progress on the character. The fact that my slides are a lot cleaner. I learned how to slide cancel, where you are accessing the high grounds by jumping, sliding, and jumping again. Some high grounds are not designed for Sojourn to jump onto, but there are some that you can use this hack to get an insane value. I'm still failing my overclocks, which is the Sojourn ultimate. I'm still failing my right clicks because this is life and We live in a quantum world where everything is random and you cannot really predict everything, so opponents are moving in very strange patterns that it's pretty hard to predict, as I've said earlier. But yeah, we are going for some very, very nice plays, and looking at my certain clips, it's safe to say that I have improved quite a lot on the character. Do I like her? No. I feel like the character is just absurd and there are better options for me as a player for my personal preference. Here was a nice overclock, unfortunately. I got destroyed by the Junkrat. I feel like there are just better options, and this is gonna be a last fight of Colossio. We'll continue our domination, and I'm waiting for the overclock. I'm waiting to be full health. And we are just going in. I understand that it's just in the bag. We have superior power and it's a 5 versus 4 situation. We have the wall up. I'm just waiting. I'm just being patient. I'm not forcing anything. Just like in chess, you are waiting for your opponent to make a mistake to act on it. Hour 9, last 2 hours, I had to play solo, and the games were quite a lot simpler than they were in duo games. Partly because players are not paying attention to their surroundings as much, partly because they are not communicating as much and everyone is atomized, everyone is in their own head, in their own world, and you can land some pretty nice shots. Just like right here, I feel like I have improved quite tremendously when you compare that with my hour 1. Let's talk about friends and enemies a little bit. I really enjoyed playing with a Mercy Pocket. It feels like I am special. It feels like I am not just a Sojourn that can harass opponents. I am a Sojourn that can one-tap. And you are going from the category of slightly dangerous to exceptionally dangerous, and opponents have to bend over in order to nerf or negotiate or negate your insane value. When it comes to opponents, I feel like the worst ones are probably divas with their matrix. In terms of the tanks, there are not a specific tank that's wrong for you. Junker Queen can be annoying because you cannot farm your left click as good as you want. But when you look at other characters that are making your life miserable, Pharah Mercy is probably the worst one. If you cannot reliably farm your right click, you cannot do anything to the Pharah Mercy because your left click is not a hit scan. Going for the playstyle, I feel like you can play as a sniper, you can play as a close range character. It's all gonna depend on circumstances that you are putting yourself in. Depending on the map, you would want to take a high ground, or you want to be aggressive and play close to your tank. Sojourn can be played in pretty much every single composition, whether it's going to be a dive tank, whether it's going to be a poke tank or a brawl tank. And I feel like the character is super strong if you are a high skill ceiling player, which is not more than 1% of the players. It's like when you are going for a rocket and instead of using AI to navigate your trajectory, path and speed, you're going for the handmade kind of stuff. You're going for your own feelings, and if you can master the character, she's definitely going to be your best friend and you will see insane results with her. But if you are a normal player that just wants to play the game with enough beer after a long day at work, character is probably not for you. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for being there with me. Let me know in the comments what character would you like to see next. See you in the next one. Take care.